Okay, so for Friday afternoon, you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You don't have to be coding anything. Just really have to listen to a bit of a overview of some th key things I think you should know about when you're learning about Python and the various this domain of programming. Just one last comment, please do this feedback form on Canvas. Some people haven't completed it yet, so please make sure you do complete this feedback form. It's on the general section over here, so please do that. I can put that in the chat as well, just a link for it. It's really important for us just to get feedback from all of you, just to understand how we found the week one at least. So I can put that in the chat as well. I should put in the general rather. Okay, so again, number coding, we're just going through a brief overview of Python and things to take note of. So the first thing to note is that all these links you'll see here that I'll go through, it's all on Canvas, day 5 notes, so it is there already. I'm just going to briefly speak about each one, then we're going to call it a day. So the first one is a survey that was done by Stack Overflow. So Stack Overflow is a site that's been around for many years. It's been the go-to resource for most programmers over the years before ChatGPT came along. So any question that anybody had, they used Stack Overflow as a forum. People would put their question up there, and people from around the world would try to answer and help. Right, so it's still used quite a lot. I still use it as well. So it has a large database of resources for various languages and skills to learn. So they did a survey last year just about the various fields of software engineering and programming and Python and whatnot. So I just want to briefly look at certain key points that they noted. You can look at this yourself. There's various categories to look at. I just want to point out a few things. So hopefully everybody still can see this. I think it should be fine. So programming, so most popular technologies. So you'll see the top 3 you can see is JavaScript, HTML, and Python. You can see Python is a top 3. So just note that majority of the people that are responding to this, they have a web development background. And that is why you see JavaScript and HTML, CSS, the top 2, and then Python, because Python is also used to do web development. So my part of my day-to-day job is also web development as well, and you can use Python for that too. So as I mentioned before, Python you can pretty much use for anything, for building or controlling robots, to building websites, to doing data science, as we've seen today. And there's various other languages that you can see here, and they give various statistics. Databases, a very good skill to learn as well. I'd say after Python, after you're quite proficient in it, you should learn about databases as well. There's a few popular ones: Postgres, MySQL, SQLite. There are differences between SQL and NoSQL databases, but that's something you can figure out yourself. Cloud platforms, we briefly spoke about that. So AWS is widely used everywhere around the world, as well as South Africa. Then we have Azure and Google Cloud as well. So for example, if you want to run, if you get a Amazon AWS web server, you might get you can get a Linux server, for example, an Ubuntu server. You can get access to it, SSH into it, and maybe run a few scripts. You'll be using Bash. You'll get a Bash terminal, and you can do the same command, same things you've done today and yesterday in Bash. You can do on this. So you'll know the basics at least to navigate around directories and store things and the basic commands. Web frameworks, not really applicable. in terms of what we've done, but you can see the various web frameworks. So I specifically work in Django and Flask. I do a bit of WordPress as well, and there are a few others. Other frameworks and libraries, you can see second one, NumPy and Pandas, right? So so you don't have to take my word for it. You're learning pretty useful frameworks and libraries that are used around the world. So again, Stack Overflow is used around the world, and a lot of feedback always gotten from the survey. Other tools, we haven't really used any of these, so I won't comment on it much. Python environment, so Visual Studio Code is, I didn't really mention it or do it, I didn't have time for it, but I use this Visual Studio Code on a daily basis. So once you're familiar with Spider and Jupyter Notebook, try out Visual Studio Code. It's a very nice environment to try out. Yeah, then some other tools that they discuss. And there we go, synchronous tools. I'm using Slack, so Slack and Zoom. So it seems we're not the only ones that are using this technology stack for teaching. Operating system is a bit of a breakdown for that too. AI search tools, yeah, ChatGPT. I use it quite often. Don't be afraid to use it, just not to use it properly. The code that you get from ChatGPT might look right, but it could give you garbage at the end of the day. So use it wisely. Yeah, so you can again go over the other stats. It's quite interesting. If you're new to this field, you can see what's out there. Then the next link is a site called OfferZen. This is more for careers in software engineering and development, whatnot. There's various stats on salary and pay scales and opportunities in South Africa. One thing I just wanted to show you, one of the stats here for 2023, most wanted programming languages, Python, TypeScript, and C#. Most used, JavaScript, C#, TypeScript. Again, the domain area that they're using it is all primarily web development. I haven't really mentioned data science aspects and whatnot. There's another site for that I would recommend if you want more of a statistic for data science fields, but Python is obviously one of them as well. So you can look at OfferZen, more looking at career opportunities and what you should kind of focus on in South Africa specifically. All right, that's a bit of insight into the Python overall. Now there were some other things I mentioned during the week about Python, and that is what you're trying to do is to automate the boring stuff with Python. So this website has been around for many years. It's gone through many iterations, and it is exactly what you expect it to be, what the site suggests. Once you try to automate the boring stuff with Python, the day-to-day things you do, you most likely can do it with Python, automate it so you can focus on what you really enjoy in your research or work or whatever. So so they give various this is just one part of it, but if you look at the various categories, they do give a like a introduction to Python and the various work with lists and dictionaries and things like that. But I guess what would be useful for you is if in terms of interests, reading and writing files. So we did do that a bit with pandas, reading in types of files, but you can read in various types of files with Python. Web scraping, if you want to get certain information from websites specifically. There's a bit of try to make sure that you can legally scrape from sites as well. But what we were working on, as well, was working with Excel spreadsheets. So we obviously were using pandas to extract information from Excel, but you can actually work with spreadsheets themselves in terms of, if you have like 10 Excel spreadsheets, you want to highlight a single cell green, for example. You can actually do that with Python. You can automate that entire process. The same with Google Spreadsheets. You can modify and automate them. You can even work with PDF files. and Word documents. You have full control over it. There are specific libraries for each of these types of documents. Obviously, we know CSV files very well, so I won't comment on that. Keeping time, scheduling tasks, and launching programs. You can automate these things all with Python, with Python scripts. Sending emails and text messages. All standard, simple tasks, a few lines of code to automate sending emails and text messages. Obviously, image manipulation as well. Again, with Python, you can read in all types of data, audio, video, images, and you can do many things with it. You can automate a keyboard and mouse motions as well. GUI automation. So if you have like an app, for example, you can click on this Windows button, open it, and then you can automate the steps that you do maybe when you're I don't know, setting up Excel or some other program. So you can automate all that. Yeah, then there's running programs and installing other modules. So have a look at this. Something might interest you here. But again, with Python, you can pretty much do anything that comes to your mind in terms of your day-to-day tasks. All right, the next thing I want to briefly look at is a website called Streamlit.io, and it says a faster way to build and share data apps, right? So Streamlit turns data scripts into shareable web apps in minutes, all in Python, few lines of code to share your idea, right? And so instead of sending, again, an Excel spreadsheet via email to somebody else to maybe look at or whatever, you can easily create a Python script, few lines of code, and you can upload it to Streamlit and you can share it. You just share the link and a person can see it on their phone, on a tablet, anywhere, because browsers are common on all devices. So, so here, let me just start this video again, just to show you what to do. So import a library called Streamlit as ST. And ST is or Streamlit is how you will kind of, write text and add buttons and everything else on Streamlit. So just with a single line like that, it will create a web app for you. That web app, you send the URL, the link to anyone, and they can see it. Okay, and it's completely for free. All right, so that's all you need. And here's an example of maybe sales model. There's somebody's got data, so you can use pandas here as well, import pandas, store your data, and then somebody can maybe view it and scale certain ranges of the data, like we've seen in pandas, and make it editable, right? So very useful feature. They added a slider to forecast a window to see certain regions. So you can really, just with a few lines of code, you can see the data that you want to share and share your story with other people. A lot easier than just sending your Excel spreadsheet to somebody. So again, this is for free. You could look at the steps to try it. Yeah, so I definitely recommend it. Another useful library in Python is called PyGWalker. So it's similar to the wide data, the pandas profiling library that I showed you. Gives a bit of different features, but as it says, turns your pandas data frame into like a Tableau style user interface. So something else to try out too. And again, there's installation and steps to follow. So if you want to try it out, I'd recommend it. Another tool I would recommend, this is actually nothing to do with Python or any coding, but this is actually a specific desktop program you can download called OpenRefine. So again, this is like an application, a Windows program you can download, and it's more of an app program that helps you like clean, filter data. If you don't want to do programming root, this application is actually quite useful to kind of clean up data, process it, and whatnot. You don't have all the functionality you have with doing it in Python and pandas, but it's quite decent. So something you can look at. And then we have Kaggle as well. So Kaggle is also a very useful resource to know about. Let me just see what my comment here was. It's a very large online community platform for data scientists and machine learning. So allows you to collaborate with others, find and publish data sets. So if you're looking for data sets online, Kaggle would probably be your first choice. There's data sets from all different domains you can find here, and also code that will help you get up and running. A lot of the code is probably with a Jupyter notebook, but at least you are familiar with it to try it out. There are also competitions as well, if you want to do that, and you can, there's courses as well you can learn. Yeah, and then if you want an introduction to Python, I'd recommend DataCamp. This DataCamp is specifically for data scientists and data engineers and data analysts, but the introduction is quite good. They have a video tutorial, then an interface to actually learn coding as well. So I definitely recommend it. If you go to the site itself, you'll see there's many different you can choose like career paths or courses you can choose from, and they're very specific. You can learn, there's R programming here as well if you want to learn R and SQL and other very useful skills as well. There's a free and there's a paid option as well, but you can, even from the free license or from the free category, you can actually learn quite a lot. They give you a lot to learn from. Yeah, and then lastly, we have the winter school. So again, this is the link for the last year's one. So the link for this year's one doesn't exist yet. But again, this will cover learning about HPC or high performance computing, or learning about supercomputers. We'll look at the hardware. What is a job script? Job scripts should be running in Bash terminal. How to fix errors in scale, and how to do scaling, just like how Krishna spoke about. Yeah, and you'll learn quite a lot about how, if you have a simulation, how to put on a cluster. So we'll give you a temporary account to actually try out your simulations, and understand the difference between serial programming, which is what we've done throughout the whole week. It's a serial programming where you one instruction is done per line, whereas parallel computing or distributed processing, where you share the workload among not just one computer, one core, but among many cores or many computers, right? So you allow the workload to be distributed so it can be done more efficiently. Yeah, so we will share this information with everyone later. Once the new site is up. But that is actually it for me and for week one. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you learned something. Please complete the form, and week two will be starting on Monday, and then which will be with machine learning. The Nithix team will be managing week two. So I'll probably be hearing from Alawani or Tutukile, but they'll be managing week two. So again, thank you very much. Hopefully you learned something this week, and make sure to join for week one. Thank you very much.